Page 4, Ciribiribin, or however you say it. 3/4 time. 1 flat in the key signature. We're in the key of F major. Make sure you can do the scale, F major scale. It has a pickup measure. If you'll notice, the first measure, only the 4/8 notes, that's just 2 beats. Well, you gotta have 3 beats in a measure. But if you look at the last measure at the bottom of page 5, there's only 1 beat in that. So we're good. You put them together. The point is we're coming in on beat 2. 2 and 3 and. So let's cover the fingering and rhythm and make sure we got that first. Right hand, you're starting here. And you're going 2 and 3 and. 2 and 3 and. And then cross over third finger. Thumb down, leave your third finger there. And then thumb. Going on the next measure. They have 5th finger, and that's fine. This is where you are. You can do that. So 1 and. Don't forget the B flat. 1, 2, 3. And then 2nd finger here. And then thumb. So we're crawling around a little bit here, moving slightly, but we're still able to connect everything. Let's go over to page 5. It's the 3rd line down with the 8th notes. 1 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 3. During the rest, then you come down here. 1, 2, and that's a thumb there. And they want 4th finger on the. This makes it easier to reach the E. Now whether you do it 8, 5, or 4, it's up to you. I find since I'm here, 4 works fine, so I can just do 4. Left hand has these broken chords. You got here. We're sort of in this position, so it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Isn't this fun? Oh boy. Let's go 2nd line, last measure. You come up here, 3rd finger. You can use 4 either, you can use if you want, rather than 3rd. And now on the 3rd line down, 2nd measure, they're saying 2, 1. If you have fat fingers and large hands, that's hard to do. You may have to do a 3, 2. But then you got to be able to reach down to here. So if you can, go ahead and use the fingering in the book. It's just easier to reach the C. Go over to page 5, 3rd line down. It's a B flat D. You've had this from the previous measure, and then B naturals, and then A C going on, so forth. Put the hands together. Take it any speed, and you can hesitate all you need to. We're just trying to get the hands to sort of work together. Third line down, 1st measure. That first beat, the right hand has a rest. Make sure you cut. So starting with the last measure of the 2nd line, you're here. Right there, lift up. So make sure on the left hand, these half notes you hold up down for the whole 2 counts. Don't lift up. And once you have a handle on getting the hands to work together, then let's try adding in the articulation. That is the phrasing, the slurs. They talk about phrasing at the top of the page. A phrasing to me is like a musical sentence, because we talk in sentences. You can kind of understand things. A sentence is a thought, more or less. Well, music is the same way. We think, and here it's just lift up between these slurs. However, for the phrasing can be different. This is where it gets tricky. Slurs, if it's done properly in piano, then you connect the notes within the slur, and most of the time you'll lift up before and after slur, not all of it. Well, these slur lines mean different things for different instruments, so you have to be careful. Sometimes the editors in some of these books are not really piano players, I don't think. They're more like violinists, and a violin slurs, that's different. Here, if we lift up between the slurs, here at the beginning, lift up, it's like just a slight lift, just like taking a breath. That's not phrasing, those are slurs. The phrasing is a musical sentence. So you have to listen to it, and where does it sound like one musical thought? To me, that's one phrase. That is one sentence. Other people would have different ideas. They may hear different phrasing in there. You got to get to know it well enough that you can start hearing it and feeling it, and then that's where the phrasing comes in. For the purpose of this video, forget phrasing, we're just going to slur it like they've got marked. So we'll lift up between each of these slurs. And the left hand is just 2 notes. Like so. Now the pedal's going to cover it all up. It doesn't matter, you still go through the motion. You try and feel it with the hands, whether you can hear it or not. You feel it. Then we can add the dynamics. Moderately loud. Now this is to the melody. Whatever you think moderately loud is. Medium loud, mezzo, forte, MF. The left hand is in everything else. All your other hands are in the background. It's like, so keep it soft. Out of the way. You get the idea on that? And they don't really give you much of any other dynamics until the middle of page 5, third line down. You go up to loud on these. And then the next one you come down a little bit to moderately loud. And then at the bottom, the last line, now you're soft. That P for piano is soft. And you're going to end it soft. That means the left hand has to be very soft in there. So that's how basically the dynamics. You really need to get to know it well enough that you're not thinking about phrasing and notes and all that, slurs and all that. And you start to feel it and feel the dynamics. Because even here at the beginning, at the moderately loud, you're not going to stay moderately loud until the middle of the next page. You're not going to stay right there. You're in that area. You can get a little louder and softer, but you got to get to know the music well enough that you can feel it. And that's where it comes in. Speed-wise, well, tempo di valse is simply a tempo of a waltz. Well, it's like a waltz. We got slow waltzes and fast waltzes, and it doesn't say which, so it's up to you. If you were going to sing it, how fast would you sing it? The eighth notes need to be even and accurate, so don't go faster than you can control. Then we add the pedal. Well, you don't need pedal. You can do it just fine without. But if you want to add pedal, it gives us an excuse to use it. And they're pretty much pedaling about everything except the eighth notes. Yeah. We can adjust that a little bit. A lot of these method books I've noticed, they introduce the pedaling, but they keep it fairly simple for you, like this book is doing. The problem with that is you hear the music a little less wonderful with this kind of pedaling. You can't be as critical because the music is kind of blurring stuff up and messing stuff up, and you lose the slurs and all that. So it's training you to not listen to what you're doing. So I'm a little concerned about that. I might have to complicate the pedaling a little bit to try and help the music out. Now they're using overlapping pedal, or a legato pedal, or syncopated pedal, or lag pedal, or all kinds of names for it. It simply ensures there's always sound. And the idea is that the pedal lags behind what the hands are doing. In other words, you put the notes down first and then the pedal. And then when you change it at each measure, like they're doing with a little bloop thing, you do that after you play the notes. So there's an overlap between the pedal and the hands. So hence the name overlap pedal. Oh. So at the beginning, it's here. So I'm going to play the notes in that measure and then push the pedal down. And in the next measure, I'm going to play the notes in the measure and then push the pedal down. Third line down in that measure, I lift the pedal up with the left hand so there's a little silence before I play the eighth notes. Like so, and that's the way they're suggesting you pedal this pretty much. Yeah. There's other kinds of pedaling we can try. There's a couple kinds of waltz type pedaling. One would be in a waltz, you simply pedal the first beat of the measure and that's it. That reinforces the natural accent. That gives you the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, because the pedal is down the, so if I try that, this is what we get. The last measure, the second line, you'd hold it down for that one. That's the sound you get. Alright, another kind of waltz pedaling would be to pedal the first two beats of the measure and just don't pedal the third beat. Lift it up on the third beat. If you do that, this is what you get. See, they produce different sounds. You have to listen very carefully. You know, and the pedaling, the markings are suggestions. Anything I tell you is a suggestion. Ultimately, it's up to you and what sound are you after? What do you want to hear? Well, how critically or how close are you listening? So ultimately, it's up to you. I like the idea, I think, of pedaling the first two beats of the measure and lifting up on beat 3. We can hear the slurs better in the right hand if we do that. Just make sure you hold these half notes down in the left hand. Don't lift them up. Hold them down the full 2 beats. You can lift up, of course, between the measures in the left hand because of the 2-note slurs. But otherwise, hold that note down. Now for the play with me on this, I think I'm going to pedal the first 2 beats of each measure for the most part. A few measures you pedal the whole thing, and we don't pedal the 8th notes type thing. So, but I think I'll do that. I think that's better. Now there is an error in the music, and I want to point it out just to keep everything uppity up. And I don't blame anybody on these errors because there's a whole lot of details in music, and there's a whole lot of details and information in these books. There's a lot of details in my videos, and there's errors, believe it or not, in my videos. I've found them, but they're very minor little things, so I usually don't say too much. Occasionally somebody comments and says, "Is that really right? Did you do that right?" And I say, "No, I didn't. Good catch." Otherwise, we keep going. We do the best we can. But there is an error here, and that is at the bottom of page 5, the last measure. You see the 2 double bars there at the end? That's not the correct symbol for an end of the piece. This is the end of the piece. There is a symbol for the end of a piece, and that is a thin and thick bar line, not 2 thin bar lines. 2 thin bar lines is a section break, a section end. Well, the end of the piece is a section end, but that's not it. We need the thin and thick bar line there. So just take a pencil and thicken the second bar line, make it a thick one, and we're okay. If you need an example, go over to page 7 at the bottom in the last measure. You see a thin and thick bar line there, and that's what I'm talking about. Pieces should have that, and it's not always going to be at the end. It could be somewhere else, but there really should be one there in my opinion. Now I'd like to play this with you slowly to double check the notes and the rhythms. So I'm going to give us 4 counts, a full 3 counts because it's in 3/4 time, plus 1 because we come in on beat 2. So it's like 1, 2, 3, ready, go, and then we go. That's 4 counts, I think. You know? 1 and 2 and ready and go and.